Welcome to the Restitutor Orbis channel. Thank you for joining me for today's exploration. Today we'll be looking into the grand theories of the Old World and Tartaria. The purpose behind this video is to lay out and examine the grand theories of what we say of the Old World and Tartaria. To look at the facts and understand what we're trying to research and what questions we're attempting to answer. Why does everyone refer to Tartaria and the Old World? What are the major theories and thesis statements? Well, it all starts with the proposition that history is not as we believe. The dates, years, and perception of events are altered from the objective truth. Humanity has experienced 5 ages or eras of time, and these are the 6 theories. It starts with the fact that we believe that we have experienced 5 ages. We don't know the number of years. There was a golden age where great achievements were possible, and each age ended with a cataclysm, a reset, and the following age experienced a loss of ability. We started with megalith builders, large-scale structures, then we went to Tartaria, or the Old World, which refers to both, and it's perhaps only a name. Maybe Tartaria is merely a name from one portion of that old world that survived longer than the rest of it. And then to the current era. That is the first theory, the 5 ages theory. The second theory is there was an era of a very different land. Colossal flora and fauna, trees and animals the size of biblical proportions, remains found in the land. Examples include Devil's Tower and many other land features. Theory 3, we are living in a simulation. A simulation of the Mandela effect and reality glitches. Where things aren't as they seem, they can change. That which we have known our entire lives can change overnight, with a different perception and something different than what we remember. Theory 4, we are living in a dream, our own or another. We'll explore it. Theory 5, everything is just as it seems. History and events are relayed to us perfectly with minimal errors. And Theory 6, some combination of these 5 theories. Consider the 5 eras theory first, Old World and Tartaria. It's helpful to look at it as 3 distinct ages, or at least 3 distinct time periods that we can categorize. We have the Golden Age, which can be broken down into further eras, and that's where we get the 5 eras from, as the Golden Age can break down into 3 distinct eras based on our observations. During that time, amazing structures were possible, things beyond our wildest dreams. After these 3 eras, comprising the Golden Age, we have the Tartarian Age, where many of the monuments, many of the great dome structures, the houses, many of the structures that we still see in our land today were built and present. The name of Tartaria comes from the Tartaria region of what is today Russia. Tartaria may simply be a name that appeared on old maps. It could even be a disinformation campaign. We don't know for sure, but we know we see it a lot on older maps and references in older books. So was this the name of this old world-spanning civilization, or was it merely the name of a tribe that wandered the area and had some cultural influence and many names that were thrown throughout modern civilization? It's hard to tell. But the name is useful to reference what this grand civilization may have been. And we believe that the structures that we see represent this civilization. And they're found all over the land, the world, the realm, however you want to refer to it. Most recently, we have the Contemporary Age. It's been the last 170 years, starting potentially around 1850, although there are other theories for when that date is. We have photos and accounts of history from the Contemporary Age, supposedly. We are aware of vast relocations of people, whether it's through asylums, through the orphan trains, or immigration, emigration, whatever the case may be. We have asylums of all types for various people. We have acquired the remaining buildings from the Tartarian Age by a group of people we call the inheritors, or those who are in control during the reset or cataclysm events. Our current society is based on illusions of achievement. We're told that we achieve so many amazing things, and yet our wars end indecisively. Our great advancements seem to go backwards in a lot of ways. The fact that we have computers and technology don't really seem to improve our lives. Main component of this theory is that we have lost much capability, including longevity, creativity, inspiration, and self-reliance. Looking at the possible timelines, we have the Golden Age broken down into 3 distinct eras. And the reason for that is we believe that each of the dotted lines represents a reset or cataclysmic event that caused the end of an era. In the Golden Age, there were 3 eras. You see this referred to in myth and legend from various cultures and societies across the world. The Roman numerals, 1 referring to the actual Golden Age, 2 the Silver Age, and 3 the Bronze Age. And then there's other references to an Age of Heroes and a Contemporary Age. So that is the template that is used to map out the 5 eras. During the Golden Age, our society was essentially unlimited in what it could create. It could build any structure, they could achieve any sort of remarkable feat beyond our wildest imagination. Buildings the size of mountains, a great society that unified all the people, regardless of their appearance, regardless of their personal identity. A place where everyone could pursue their own dreams and they could live together in harmony. Well, it sounds like heaven. It sounds like a place that couldn't possibly exist. Yet, every society seems to have a collective memory of it. And there are signs of remarkable structures. Of course, the Star Fort research that continues by many other explorers. And there's a lot of signs that many of the great structures we see were once great buildings. There's also the legend of the Tower of Babel. Moving from the Golden Age, which we believe was broken down into 3 periods, and of course I'll reference the picture that we have of the Tower of Babel because that looks like that is something that occurred after a reset or a cataclysmic event when you look closely at the various buildings around it, and great researchers such as John Levi have covered that. Moving past the Golden Age in the more recent Tartarian Age, or the age that preceded ours, which here is marked with a 4 Roman numeral, this is where we believe that many of the great buildings that we see, the houses, the structures, the monuments, everything that's still present across the land was built. It was built by a worldwide civilization that encompassed all the land. At the bottom we have the agreed upon, or at least one of the agreed upon symbols, which is a griffin, and black and yellow seems to come up a lot, but we just don't know. It could simply be something that was thrown into our history, something that we've misinterpreted, but it is what we've agreed upon using to represent what this worldwide civilization could have been. Now we come to the transition from the Tartarian and the Contemporary Age, and you see the division going from 4 to 5. There are 3 distinct theories on the timeline on when this transition happened. This is why we depict 3 distinct eras, because we believe that this last cataclysm or transition from the Tartarian Age to the Contemporary Age occurred. The earliest year is 1750, represented by the bottom arrow, and that's associated with the 7 Years' War, occurring from 1756 to 1763, and it's considered the first worldwide conflict. Another theory, represented by the middle arrow, states that this occurred possibly around 1800, and this is backed up by the fact that there were major worldwide changes shortly after 1800, the supposed building of the Erie Canal, a great earthquake that caused the Mississippi to flow backwards. And then the top arrow representing the transition occurring at 1850. This being the time when photography became widely available, the report that genealogy seemed to end around 1850. I can verify that both genealogies on my maternal and paternal side do end around 1850. The only thing I can trace back before then is just the name and a list of names, which really doesn't prove much. You see the pictures on the right representing the transition from the last cataclysm. We perhaps have pictures of it, and that's what we believe the photos of citywide destruction from the 19th century represent, the transition of people, the orphan trains, the refugees, immigrants. And then finally, resulting in our modern age where we have our great square houses that are very poorly constructed and our amazing tall buildings that are primarily glass. The next theory, the very different era, remains of Megaflora and fauna. Mud fossils, as it's called. There were once great trees, once great animals that were far and wide across the land, represented by small remnants. The main component of this theory is there are observed remains of everything in the terrain across the world. A remarkable structure, things beyond our imagination. These could be buildings, these could be former life forms, but this theory suspects that they are everywhere. You see Devil's Tower, potentially representing an old tree. I have climbed to the top of Devil's Tower personally, and there are many aspects of it that give the indication that it could have been a very large tree. I don't know for sure, and I'm not going to come to any conclusions. It could be an old volcano like they say. It could be something else entirely from what we understand. But we have to keep an open mind, and we have to keep asking those questions, and we have to be open to different perspectives. We're living in a simulation. The theory that everything is a simulation. The main component of this theory, well, you find many people referring to the Mandela effect, that things aren't as they remember, that it's glitches in reality. Many people remember a yellow sun, even though they say it's white now. You look at the midpoint of day and you see a white sun, even though I remember seeing a yellow sun growing up. Maybe it's just a trick with the memory, or maybe there are parallel realities managing to exist simultaneously as part of the we are living in a simulation. See some of the great representations. There was a big movement in film from 1998 to the early 2000s where they depicted many movies, except of course for Tron, pictured in the top right, which is from the early 80s. But 1999 and onward, you had movies such as The Matrix, The 13th Floor, that represented what living in a simulation could be like, and how it would transpose both our personalities and our minds into an existence where essentially anything is possible. And that is why you see so many discrepancies. Oh, the theory it's all just a dream considers all inconsistencies at once. You can bend reality, literally and figuratively. You can be like Tom Cruise driving your Ferrari down a deserted Times Square, get out of your Ferrari and run. Or you can just jump off the top of a building, fall for about 2 miles, and then suddenly you wake up. Anything is possible, and changes come without warning. It is interesting that this theory could explain many of the inconsistencies that we see. We just don't know, and yes, everything is on the table, although this definitely approaches the concept of solipsism, that everything is just from one person's own mind, and everything is just to suit them. And there are many people, many researchers who support this theory, and you can find a lot of detail on what they say. I certainly want to keep it in mind as we continue with our explorations, but I believe that there are consistencies, and there are certain things that bind us together. Now, as to what's behind them, who knows? The next theory, everything is as it seems. Reality and life are just imperfect. The main component of this theory, well, just look up life on Google, Wiki, look at your news feeds, watch sports, and everything you experience. It's just as they told us. It is possible. Yes, there may be inconsistencies with the story, but those could just be imperfections. The fact that we continue to have indecisive conflicts, that our advancements seem to be stuck in a certain period, or we have periods where we have great technological advancements and then none, that's just the imperfection of life. And those are all things that we have to deal with. Or even the great odds that we somehow survived the mutually assured destruction concept of the Cold War that lasted over 40 years, where we had two very large nuclear-armed powers that could have destroyed each other within the span of 20 minutes. And nevertheless, here we are, 40 years after the movie The Day After, made in 1983. So it's all fascinating when you take it together and you consider all these facts. I want to refer to the concepts of courage and imagination. Courage is defined as the ability to do something that frightens one. Strength in the face of pain or grief. And imagination, a word that has certainly been derided over the years. The faculty or action of forming new ideas or images or concepts of external objects not present to the senses. Taking these two qualities together, this is how we find the moral fortitude and the intellectual capacity to explore our world, to ask questions. Yes, we can take it exactly as we're told from someone else, some other institution, or some other agency. But I believe that what makes the individual unique is our ability to employ courage and imagination to explore our world and to find our own answers. I welcome different perspectives, and I welcome and appreciate different opinions and views. So what are we looking to do on this channel? We're looking to seek to explore these theories to prove and disprove aspects of them. And we may even change on that based on what we observe. Always maintain objectivity, and that's the hardest thing. I'm a human being just like the rest of you. I am subject to my own human frailties, even within my own mind. Maintaining objectivity is critical to adequately exploring what we're going to be looking at. Reveal and share details of the land. You may see Landmarks, buildings, structures you never knew of before. Whatever reality we're in, whatever the answer or theory is, we still want to explore it and understand it. I encourage people to seek their own answers and keep asking questions, and we will find the truth. It's going to be difficult. No one ever said life was easy. But if there's one thing I can guarantee you is if you just take it as others would have you believe, then you will simply be the instrument of others. And is that really how you want to live your life? Or would you rather find your own answers? Going forward, channel's going to be exploring old world mysteries in Milwaukee. There are many structures in the great city of Milwaukee off of Lake Michigan that we can explore. And there's a unique story behind all of them. We want to understand what that story is and look for discrepancies in the story and look for consistencies. Are we looking at old world buildings here that were remnants of Tartaria? Or were they structures that were built as our established history says that they were? It's an interesting mystery, and it's something we want to explore and consider. We're going to take a good look at St. Louis. There's a lot of remarkable structures within St. Louis and a very rich history, both in what we're told and what we believe to be in St. Louis. We have a water tower, like a column. We have an amazing basilica. We have a courthouse that looks like yet another state capitol. Museums and buildings, and it was also the site of a World's Fair in 1904. On the note of World's Fair, we're going to go to Chicago, do an on-site exploration of what remains of the Chicago World's Fair at Jackson Park. We're going to look at what structures remain and what remains in the area, and if there's anything that we can extrapolate from what had occurred there. We know and believe that the Chicago World's Fair was a major transition event, both in our agreed-upon history, the stated history, and we believe that is where a lot of our modern perceptions are derived from. We're going to continue the weekly exploration of the Old World in the movies, exploring how scenes, plots, references, and locations in the Old World appear in films. Films from many different eras, the plots and the sets, and we can also learn about ourselves and what these movies tell us in everything that's associated with them. Finally, we'll continue the Tartarian Old World or Pious Art weekly reviews, looking at different forms of art from different eras and looking to see if we get a different story or a different picture than what we understand. We want to take a look at everything, and we want to glean an understanding. And as we go forward, we'll be looking to determine what the answers are. Ask questions, explore your existence, you'll restore the world. Thank you for joining me. Please like, comment, and subscribe.